Alright, settle in, because this is the tale of Mr. Paws, a ginger tabby with a heart as big as his purr. Now, Mr. Paws wasn't just any cat. He was a neighborhood fixture, a furry ambassador of goodwill, and unbeknownst to him, a silent hero. He lived with Mrs. Evelyn, a retired librarian whose house was a haven of dusty books and warm sunlight. Mr. Paws, with his plush fur and perpetually inquisitive whiskers, ruled the roost. He'd spend his days patrolling the garden, napping in sunbeams, and occasionally indulging in a daring chase after a rogue butterfly. One blustery autumn afternoon, Mrs. Evelyn decided to take her usual stroll to the park. Mr. Paws, ever vigilant, insisted on accompanying her. He trotted alongside her, his tail a ginger plume against the backdrop of fallen leaves. Mrs. Evelyn, her steps slow but steady, smiled down at him. As they reached the park, a young boy, no older than 8, sat alone on a bench, his shoulders slumped, his face buried in his hands. His name was Leo, and he had just lost his beloved toy robot, a gift from his late grandfather. Mrs. Evelyn, noticing Leo's distress, approached him gently. "Hello, dear. What's troubling you?" Leo looked up, his eyes brimming with tears. "I lost my robot," he sniffled. "It was my grandpa's." Mrs. Evelyn's heart ached for him. She tried to comfort him, but words seemed inadequate. Mr. Paws, sensing the boy's sadness, did something remarkable. He jumped onto the bench and nudged Leo's hand with his soft head. Leo looked at the cat, surprised. Mr. Paws, with his calm demeanor and gentle purrs, seemed to radiate warmth. Leo, despite his grief, couldn't help but smile slightly. He reached out and stroked Mr. Paws' fur. As Leo petted the cat, a flicker of hope sparked within him. He remembered playing with his robot near the old oak tree, a large, gnarled tree with exposed roots. He decided to retrace his steps. "Maybe it's by the oak tree," he said, his voice a little stronger. Mrs. Evelyn, with Mr. Paws leading the way, followed Leo to the oak tree. They searched among the fallen leaves, their eyes scanning the ground. Suddenly, Mr. Paws stopped, his ears twitching. He crouched low, his gaze fixed on something hidden beneath a pile of leaves. He then began to carefully dig at the leaves. Leo, his heart pounding, rushed forward. And there